Warning: the following video contains explicit language which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Well, hello everybody. I had to do this video here, this short video here on an issue here because I spent most of this snowy day here arguing with people online over the secret classified documents that have been found in Biden's possession in different places. And of course, this was going on like since last week, I think. This is when this started here, when they started finding these things started coming up. And the first thing that people were thinking was that perhaps the Republicans were planting these things around for people to find to make Biden look bad, because as you know, Donald Trump is in some hot water over the amount of classified documents that he has or had in his possession when he left the White House, when he, in the after the last election. So, the Democrats have been really on the ball with getting after Trump over this, which they should. I mean, it's what he did is a huge felony here. I mean, you can't take classified documents, even if you're the president, and assume they're yours, or that you can declassify them by thinking that they're declassified. Okay, all that bullshit that Trump has been using to essentially lie and smokescreen what he did. Every time he would introduce some new explanation, it would get shot down. Okay, so Democrats have been after him for this, and the Republicans up to this point have been firing back about Hillary Clinton's emails. Okay, like that's even something in comparison. Okay, and having that she had a server in her own home where she could download this stuff without any kind of security features or anything like that to prevent anybody from accessing those things on her computer. Okay, which I guess technically, yeah. I mean, you could say that is a problem. I mean, maybe Hillary shouldn't have done that. It was wrong. But they didn't find anything, I guess, incriminating there in the emails or stuff that she got. So I mean, that pretty much is where that discussion ends on what Hillary Clinton did. But then, like I said, we find out that the first day we find that somebody went into an office that Biden had used. Okay, I think when he was vice president, and they went into a closet that was locked. And in that closet, they found, some folders labeled classified and some information in there that should have been at the National Archives, okay? Things that should have been returned a long time ago. That's where it first started, okay? And then Biden said, well, take them, take the things, bring them back to the National Archives, okay? And so they did. A few days later, some other ones were found in his home, okay? And he says, I forgot about them. I didn't even know they were there. And this was like, some of the stuff was like back when he was a senator. And and then they found another set of classified documents here over the weekend, Saturday and stuff like that he had. So they keep finding these goddamn things everywhere. And I'm thinking, well, Jesus Christ. I mean, doesn't this sort of take the moral high ground away from the Democrats now when they start criticizing Trump for having hoarded all those damn documents the way he did when he left Washington, D.C. and went to his home down in Florida? I mean, isn't that, aren't we basically saying, well, if Biden did it and it's okay, which they're trying to say, he didn't do anything wrong. He's letting people take the stuff and investigate. Well, Okay, so big deal. What if Donald Trump decided, okay, let them investigate and take all the stuff back? It still doesn't excuse the fact that he walked out of the fucking White House with it, okay, and never said anything to anybody. Nobody said anything to anybody when Biden took the fucking documents or put them somewhere and mislaid them. And where the hell was the National Archives? Why weren't they screaming, where are these documents? You guys took all this stuff and we ain't got it back. Why aren't they doing their goddamn job? Okay? So, what I'm saying is that just because, there's a certain amount of distinction here between Trump and Biden as to how they got their documents and stuff like that, doesn't take away from the fact that they got them, that they had them, and they had them for a long time, and they didn't do anything or say anything about it until somebody said, oh, you got some here, and then they had to turn it back in. That's not the way it's supposed to work here. You're supposed to use those documents at a secure location, and when you're done, you return them back to where you got them. That's how it works. You don't sit on these files. You don't carry them around in your briefcase. You don't take them home with you like homework. Okay, that's not the way that works. These are military in some cases, a lot of them military, and they all have various degrees of classification from just top secret to whatever, and they are all supposed to be kept on hand at the National Archives. Okay, well, I got into a discussion here with some people here on YouTube, okay, over this matter here, and some people understood where I was coming from, but a lot of people just didn't. Some people think that they're accusing me of being, you're a Republican pretending to be a Democrat, and you're this and you're, and I'm thinking, well, these are the ones you weed out, okay, the ones that don't want to follow your train of thought and just come up with conspiracy theories. Okay, you just push them to the sidelines because they're just never going to look at what you're saying with any degree of clarity or objective ability. Okay, so I focused on just a couple of people who were online, and we were still debating this thing. Okay, and one of them had said, how do you put it? You have an inability to sense nuance in things, which I kind of understood what he was trying to get at, meaning to say that to you it doesn't matter, the details of how people, how things happen. It only matters to you the end result. And I'm thinking, well, in a situation where you're dealing with top secret data, isn't the end result really the only thing that should matter? I mean, you can always worry about how these things happened later, okay, but you have to take hold of the situation and go after the people who had this data, okay, and charge them or do something, get them in the system of justice to find out just how guilty they are, okay, find out how they, what their version of how they got their hands on this stuff and why nobody told them they had to return this stuff. They need to investigate this, because when you don't investigate, you don't round up everybody that was involved and all the guilty parties involved. Okay, so you can't just ignore Biden because, this is Biden, it ain't Trump. No, just because of that, no. The nuance is always found in the investigation. And if you don't go after Biden the same way you go after Trump, okay, how are we ever going to get to the core issue here that we have a serious problem in our country's government here of securing its data? Okay, it seems to me like there's word in Washington, D.C. that you could just walk into the National Archives and walk out with whatever the hell you want and sit on those files till you're dead, and then maybe you can, and somebody will turn them in back for you. No. What if somebody else needs those files? How are they going to find out who took them out last if nobody can find out where they've been? Because obviously the National Archives would have known where those records were. If there was a proper checkout procedure there, that if somebody takes any of these things out, they write out their name on a list or something like that, and it stays open until things are returned. Okay, so they would have known. Let's go down the list of names here in the book and find out who still has copies of our documents here. Okay, I don't know, there could be a lot of people out there that are sitting around with secret documents and they haven't returned those things yet to the National Archives. This could be a bigger problem than just Hillary Biden and Trump. I mean, this could involve Bill Clinton, this could be Obama, this could be Bush, this could be Reagan. I mean, how far back do we want to go here? There could be people from several administrations who are sitting on documents that belong in the National Archives. How are we going to know this if we don't treat every instance of this problem in the same serious lens? You see what I'm saying? If we don't take what happened here, what Biden getting found out with all these documents that he's got, if we don't sit there and just, investigate, question, and stuff, then we will never know the nuances of how these things happen. Because if we don't get to that, if we don't find out the nuances, how are we ever going to know how bad this problem is? We could dig up more information about other people who have taken documents. For all we know, Hillary Clinton, maybe that's the reason why Hillary Clinton thought it was okay to set up a server in her home and download stuff, to her computer. Maybe she felt, well, everybody probably told her, well, we do this all the time, it doesn't matter. And she probably just felt it was okay to do it, that nobody would get caught, and maybe Trump, maybe part of the reason why Trump thought he could get away with it in plain view. Remember how that was being shown on the news, that when they were showing these boxes and boxes of stuff being put in? Maybe he thought nobody would care because, hey, Hillary took out stuff, Biden's been sitting on stuff. How do we know that, he didn't feel like it was okay for him to walk out with even more stuff? So you see, the nuance of how this happened or why it happened really isn't that important at this point until we question the people involved and find out why it happened, and how it happened through them. Okay, the nuances will come later. But right now, we can't just say, well, this Trump did it, it was a crime when he did it, but Biden, okay, that's all right. We'll just, forget about Biden because he's letting people take the stuff back and go into his home. Big deal, okay? It's like if Smokey over here robbed a bank and I robbed a bank, okay, and then the police come around and they find out that Smokey's been hiding money that she robbed in the bank for years, okay, and then they find out that I robbed the bank, okay, and I got money, but I give it back, okay, it's because they found it. Does that make me, okay, we'll just forgive that you did it because you gave us the money back, and they go and arrest Smokey, okay, because she didn't? I mean, does that make any sense to you? Because that's basically what I was getting from the people online today who were defending Biden, saying that, well, because he's being good about it and he's letting everybody take it back, doesn't mean that, what he did was right, or how he got his hands on it was right. And the fact that he's saying, well, I didn't know I had it. I mean, how do we know he's even being honest there about that? Okay, because he knows that we're going after Trump with both barrels here about all the shit he took. So he would be afraid that we would turn on him and go and do the same thing. So why would we even believe, okay, at this point, that he didn't know? We keep finding all this stuff now. For days, we've been finding stuff that he's had closed up in desk drawers and closets and at home. So how far do we know that this goes? How do we know that people that were around him didn't find that stuff and use it? I mean, we just don't know how the security of our country has been fractured here to a degree we're not aware of. I just feel like there really needs to be more seriousness about this, and we can't really be partisan about this problem because this affects us all, Republican and Democrat. Whenever secret documents from this country get leaked out somewhere, okay, all of our lives are put in danger, okay? We're suddenly de-armored here, okay? And when that happens, we don't have the luxury of playing politics over something like that. This isn't something you can get away with by playing politics. You've got to look at this in a fair way. Okay, yes, to a degree, Trump did exceed a lot more than Biden did, but both of them were found with things that they shouldn't have had. Okay, and that has to be a crime, because if I had those documents, if I had even one document from the National Archives, classified, top secret, and I had that in my possession, would it not be right for the police to come in here, take it, and arrest me, okay, and charge me with having that stuff and keeping it? Of course it would. But with President Biden, everybody's shielding him from the legal consequences of what he done. Okay, Whether he forgot about it or not, they were in his possession. They were his responsibility. He shouldn't have forgot about those things. He shouldn't have just laid them out somewhere in a closet, even if it was locked. Okay? Those things were in his possession. He should have returned them when he was done with them. Okay? And what do they say? Ignorance is no excuse for breaking the law. Okay? They tell you that all the time. You know, just because you don't know about a law doesn't mean that you can't be punished for it if you break it. So, the system itself is set up to ignore the nuances of how people do things and why. What it's more important is that we act on something that isn't right when it happens, no matter how it happened. We will find that out during the course of investigation, how it happened, and we can deal with that on the outside, in the hands of legislators and the public. But in the meantime, we have to clasp those people in irons, as they say, in order to uphold the law. And the law, is pretty clear on that. But I'm really amazed at, how far this goes here. I mean, and how the attitude in Washington D.C. is so lax concerning national secrets. Okay, I would have expected there to be a lot more attention given to security about things like that. At least that's the way the public has been fed all these years about national secrets, that, oh my God, you have to be a Mission Impossible agent to be able to get into this place and crack the codes to get to this file. That's what we were led to believe. That you'd have to be a super secret agent to be able to crack into these places to get our national secrets. But apparently, all you got to do is be a guy in a suit coat, walk in, just say, I got to take these, and they'll go, okay, yep, go. Apparently there is no security. There is no oversight. There is no fucking, maintenance or accountability in the National Archives for these things. Okay? There just isn't. So, my suggestion is there's blame to go around. Yes, it isn't just Biden, okay? But it is also Donald Trump. It is also the National Archives Association of America, okay? And it is also whoever else is out there sitting on these files, because it's looking more likely that we got a lot more people in government right now sitting on data, files, classified or unclassified, that they may not have or shouldn't have, or may should have returned by now. Okay, and I think this is a bigger problem than just the right versus the left kind of thing. I mean, that's just boiling this down into nothing here. Okay, if you're looking at the problem that way, which I think a lot of people are, they're only interested in this tit for tat bullshit between parties. They're not really looking at this from outside the box. Okay, they have to look at this problem on a bigger plateau here, because this involves past and future presidents, okay, and their ability to get their hands on data that they shouldn't or shouldn't have. Okay, we need to change that. We need to change that now, because the more that this comes out, the more we discuss this, the more we're going to find out just how lax our security is in government here when it comes to stuff like that. People dressed up as Americans who are from the Soviet Union or whatever, or Russia, can probably get into the National Archives with just a little bit of trickery and walk out with an armload of stuff. I mean, Trump was blatant about it, did it in front of the fucking news, and you see any cops go racing over there to stop it? Do you see anybody jumping to the no, there was no security, there was no military display of security. No, it was just a goddamn Ryder truck sitting out there in the front lawn with a bunch of movers with dollies bringing boxes out into the back of the truck, in plain view. Okay, while everybody at home was watching it, and nobody's saying a goddamn word. Even the press. I mean, they would just say, "Well, what's he moving out of there? These documents or something." Everybody was wondering what it was, but did anybody make a call or say, "Hey, you need to go stop them? They could be taking shit"? No. He took all that stuff to Mar-a-Lago, where it sat for months. Okay, God knows what he was doing with it. Okay, And I think we ought to know what was done with that, because at that point there's no accountability as to of who had it then or who had it next or whatever. There's no record of where these things, what happened to these things in the months that were down there. As far as we know, as far as you can say, you can accuse Trump of saying, well, you photocopied them. You could say that you sold them to somebody. And how could he argue against it? Because he's got no proof to show where these things were at any given time, and he can't back it up with any fact. So what I'm saying, in the bottom line here is, yes, Biden, he stepped in shit. He made the Democrat Party look bad now, because he's been found with documents he shouldn't have had either. Whether he did it on purpose or by accident doesn't matter anymore at this time, okay? Because we're investigating Trump for having done it on purpose. Okay, he knew he had them because he lied about having them, and then he just said he had them, and then he said, oh, well, I declassified them. Okay, so he knew he had this stuff. So we know he criminally took this stuff. Biden, we don't know. Okay, if it was just a faulty memory or somebody else wasn't keeping track of it, somebody has to take the fall for that. Whether it was Biden himself or people in his staff, at whatever point in time that he got them, somebody has to answer for that, because somebody knew they were secret documents, okay, and they shouldn't have been just laying around somewhere to be found like that, okay? So yes, there's the spotlight has to be shined on both of these men now, okay? Thanks to Biden, what he did, or whatever you want to say, okay? You can't excuse this. This is inexcusable, okay? If this would have happened to an ordinary American, they would have been picked up and would have disappeared. You never would have heard from them ever again, okay? The same thing here with this, okay? And like I said, I understand why people are arguing against me about this, because Biden's done some good things for the country, and I agree, okay? But it doesn't excuse something like this. Doesn't matter how many good things you do. If you kill somebody someday, okay, all that matters is what you did that day, okay, and you have to answer for that, just like you answer for the good things you do. You also have to answer for the bad things you do too, okay? And Biden may not be directly responsible for having those documents, but certainly somebody got their hands on it, and it was found someplace where Biden had been, okay? And that's where this has to end. I mean, you're gonna have to bring the full weight of the government on both of these guys now to find out the truth. Because if we don't, we're never gonna know where the leaks are or where the problems are in the National Archives, because they too share some of that blame. Okay, some of those people over there are gonna have to be investigated and find out why they're not so strict on keeping track of these things. All right, so that's pretty much it that I want to talk about today, so I'll talk to you guys later.